Hi traders, welcome to this live currency strength indicator table video with me, John, on this Friday the 3rd of November. Sorry it's a little bit later than usual, just had some errands to run this morning, but we are still in Euro Swiss at the moment. It was actually performing pretty well up until about an hour ago when we saw a little bit of a pullback in the markets, but the Swiss franc still remains as the weakest currency from a day trading standpoint. It's W3 here on the trend traders. I'd like that obviously to be a bit higher. I would like it to be sort of W2, even W1. So I would like to see a little bit more of a push there, but that should happen as long as the Swiss franc can remain W1 and as long as the Swiss franc does start to weaken once more. Kiwi has rose to the top of the strength side, so we kind of discussed that the other day where we were thinking Kiwi could be top of the tables, and then if we could get a move from Kiwi from S3 to from W3 sorry to S3, I think that was where we were kind of at on Thursday. Yeah, we can see here that it was there on Thursday, and we've got that now, so that's looking pretty good. So Kiwi Swiss longs is something that's looking nice. Kiwi yen longs is something I'm really eyeing up as well. Aussie Swiss obviously remaining there, so if you did continue to hold Aussie Swiss, price has continued to push forward. We are still finding a little bit of a sticky point at that resistance shelf that we spoke about, but other than that, we've got other markets to discuss. Yen weakness is something that we've already discussed this week. Now there is a lot of data coming out this afternoon. If we just go over to the live economic calendar, let me just filter this down, sorry, so we can just focus on the high impact data for now. We can see that at 12:30 today we've got the average hourly earnings, the non-farm payrolls, and the unemployment rate. And then following that, about 1:45, we've got services PMI and then ISM non-manufacturing PMI. So lots to actually digest from this afternoon. So I think dollar trades for me are off the table right now. There's some decent data out of the UK this morning. Services PMI actually rose to 49.5. So a little bit of bullishness coming out of the pound. I actually like a couple of the pound pairs at the moment, but I think we need to wait until that actually develops onto the tables before we look for any kind of position in there. So let's go and just take a quick look at our Euro Swiss position. We just want to break this down. Obviously, like I said, Swiss still remains top, so that's okay. The good points about this, I feel, are that we've broken through yesterday's high. I quite like the idea of that. You know, for me, if price is in an upward trend, I would expect the daily candles to continue to make higher highs and higher lows on the candlestick. That's what I'm expecting here. You can see here the market makes those higher lows on the daily chart. That's what I would like to see that continue to be able to stay in this trade. Obviously, we are at sort of a trend line resistance. This is a sort of second test of that resistance, so that can often be quite a strong resistance point, but the strength and weakness is telling us that we should remain long, and we're still targeting these swing highs around about the 0 spot 96.80 handle. So we're still currently in this position. I would obviously like it to be back where it was earlier today, because we were about 30 pips or so up at that point, and the momentum looked like it was going to push higher. So I don't really know what's caused that sort of momentum rollover at the moment, but I think it's still okay. At the moment, the stochastic on the daily is starting to sort of see that line start to come over, which isn't the greatest, but doesn't mean that price is going to roll over straight away. Look at this sort of example here. When we started to get it, we did start to go a little bit sideways. Here we still had a couple more days of push up, so I'm hoping that we can still see that. From a weekly perspective, obviously very bullish. You know, I think if it closed strong here, I would expect a pullback next week. Hopefully it won't get us into a situation where we're stopped out. I think as well, looking at the sort of lower time frames, if I was just to go down to the hourly, for instance, we're still above the 50 MA, which is something that I really want us to kind of focus in on. If price does kind of come back all the way down, closes below the 50, and you know, if the 50 started to sort of curl over a little bit, that would be very concerning to me, and I think I would look to potentially close that out for a minor loss if that was the point. If price can continue to momentum drive higher, then we should see the averages continue to sort of tick up, and I think that would be beneficial for our position. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of watching at the moment on Euro Swiss. Whether the NFP data affects this too much today, I don't know, but if it does, we might see a little bit of swings in the market. But Euro Swiss, I think for now, is still looking okay, so I'm happy to continue to hold this position, especially as the Swiss franc still appears as W1 on our tables. Let's go over to those Kiwi pairs then. So Kiwi Swiss was obviously one that was pointed out from the tables. I like the idea of being long Kiwi Swiss. We discussed this in yesterday's video as well. Look at the weekly chart here, really bullish. I feel I can see that prices kind of formed a little bit of divergence here on the stochastic, so I like the idea of being long this market, and I actually feel that this is something we can probably target going into next week as well, as long as Kiwi can remain strong and Swiss remains weak. I think there's still an idea that we could see price come up towards this 0.55 handle, which are these former weekly highs back in September. So I like the idea of price going to target those, to be honest. And if we go to the daily chart, we're fairly bullish here at the moment. Going to the 4-hour time frame, we're bullish. We're above the 200 moving average, a key sign that there's a potential reversal forming here. We're above this trend line support as well. Now, yesterday we kind of went to the hourly and we pointed this 0.5315 level out, and we actually set an alert down through here. I've now moved that alert. That alert has now moved up to 0.5340, which are these prior hourly highs. I think if we're going to get a situation where we've got a really strong currency against a really weak one, then there's a little bit of potential here to see price kind of stick within that upward trend. And you can see here these prior highs also coincide with this trend line support running through. So I quite like the idea of price coming back down towards this point. 30-minute time frame also has the 50 MA just below that. So again, I'm kind of looking for that MA bounce move, very similar to what happened down through here. Not so much here, but it was very close to touching as well as there. So I wouldn't mind price kind of coming back towards that level maybe next week. A nice little rejection, and then we can look to try and piggyback this potential upward trend as well. But we'll have to see how that one plays out. But that is looking quite nice. I like the whole dynamic here from a weekly perspective as well. Going on to Kiwi Yen then. So Kiwi Yen on our tables are the sort of one to watch as well. Yen actually weakest from a trend trader's point of view, so maybe the longer term outlook here is that Kiwi Yen could continue higher. I know we discussed Euro Yen yesterday, and I was watching Euro Yen and I was looking to potentially enter at 160, but I was speaking to Charles and we both agreed sort of, you know, 160 is a bit of a level of resistance and it's a psychological number, so 160 is going to be somewhat interesting. I was potentially then looking at the 30-minute entry here this morning, or sort of yesterday, where we got this kind of reaction. So I was looking to potentially go in at 159.75, stop losses below these low, and look for the market to push higher. But Euro Yen is no longer on the tables. I mean, Euro is on the trend trader side of the tables if I just bring them back in, but it's not featured here now. And obviously we're already in a Euro position, so I didn't want to overexpose us to that Euro. So yeah, I'm just kind of waiting here, and to be honest, Aussie Yen and Kiwi Yen have come up as something to watch. Now, out of the charts, Kiwi Yen's quite interesting because we've still got around about 80 or pips or so towards these prior highs that formed back at the start of October, as well as so start of October around about 89.75 and above is this sort of bearish zone in here. So I'm looking to see if price goes and heads for that zone. If we go to our 4-hour time frame, you can see the averages starting to push up here, tick up. We've got this really nice trend line support. It can be seen a little bit more clearly on the hourly chart. So I've basically formed it from this low back at the start of November. So the 1st of November, I've anchored it on the other low on the 1st of November. And then price, I've expanded that out, and price has recently sort of retested that point. I quite like this zone back down here at 88.40. It's quite a large zone. It incorporates these highs and these sort of recent lows that have formed. So I think if price comes back down towards that, we've got the average in there. If it can close back above the average, I'll be looking to see if the momentum again can swing in Kiwi Yen's favour, and that we can look for some opportunities. So I think at the moment I want to be focusing on the top of of that day traders table, which is that sort of Kiwi Swiss move. I like the idea of that potential. I'm going to avoid the dollar today because of NFP. So New Zealand Swiss, I think, is the one to watch, but I'm looking to see, can it pull back to 0.5340? Can it give us our sort of momentum criteria here? And then can we look for some opportunities to the upside, because the next level of resistance is up here around about 0.55, which is about 150 pips away. So I think that can be good to watch coming up very, very soon. So yeah, I quite like Kiwi Swiss. Let's keep an eye on this one. Euro Swiss for the time being is in. Hopefully it can continue to drive higher, and hopefully the NFP doesn't affect this market too much. Thanks for watching the video update. I hope you enjoyed all the videos this week, and I'll catch you next week.